So today's webinar is all about the VisualSP Help System. But actually, let me back up. It's all about the SharePoint users. SharePoint end users, SharePoint developers, SharePoint designers, SharePoint any user, honestly. Anybody and everybody who has used SharePoint knows for a fact that it's not the easiest system to use, not to get used to. Don't you agree? And if it's not, why do we go through the pain of working with SharePoint? Why are so many of us so passionate about SharePoint? The only reason, of course, is there's nothing like it in the market. It is still an extremely powerful product. If used properly, there's so much you could do with it, right? So what I want to talk about specifically here is how do you get use out of it from your users, right? How do the users use SharePoint effectively and maybe even build solutions on top of it? This is our site, VisualSP, visualsp.com, or also known as SharePoint-videos.com. You will find all the information that I'll be talking about today here. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us, clicking on this right here. Contact us, or our email address, info@visualsp.com. My personal email address is asif, A-S-I-F, at visualsp.com. Those of you who I've not had a pleasure to meet yet, let me just quickly show you who I am. Company, our people. This is me right here. So I'm a SharePoint MVP and a Microsoft Certified Trainer. I have been in the SharePoint field since 2002, actually, just doing all things SharePoint, writing, speaking, training people on it, and I still love it. I still do. Of course, I really feel bad when somebody doesn't get it or is not able to take full value out of it, and that's why our company exists to begin with. So, the whole point of this particular webinar, as I mentioned before, is to talk about what is the current state of SharePoint, SharePoint Help, or SharePoint user guides, basically what it exists, and how can you make it better? What exists to make things better? I have an environment going. I don't know if you figured this out yet by now or not, that I'm not using any PowerPoint. No PowerPoint allowed in my presentation today. Okay? And so I'm going to go jump directly in here, and let's turn this off. Okay, so this is a regular, let's say, a SharePoint site, right? Imagine this thing, or SharePoint 2010, whichever you have, or SharePoint Online, of course, or maybe even something before SharePoint 2007. One thing has remained the same, that when users get frustrated with an environment like this, and they click on this help icon, right, the question mark, the good old question mark, the help that's received is not truly, in my opinion as a trainer, it's not truly for end users. It's great for maybe extremely motivated power users or administrators or developers or designers, people who are building stuff on top of it so they can dig in and get the help they need. They understand blogs and wikis and lists and libraries and stuff. But honestly, a real SharePoint end user is not really a SharePoint end user at all, if that makes sense. A SharePoint end user is a person who's trying to get their job done while utilizing this platform called SharePoint. Isn't that true? And for that person, giving them all this information is just a little too much. They don't know where to get started. They don't know where to go from there. That's been a pain point for all the versions of SharePoint that I've worked with so far, starting with SharePoint 2001. So starting in SharePoint 2010, we started devising ways of how can we deliver our content. We have had a lot of user training content for a long time, but how can we use that and deliver it to the users when and where they need it most? Not just for SharePoint end users, but of course that's our main target market, but also even beyond that. How about in central administration? How about in site settings where a site collection administrator might go? How about when you go within an actual, let's say, permission screen and you're all flustered as to what am I supposed to do over here? How does this work? How do we help you everywhere, right? So anyway, that's what I'm going to be talking about here. Basically a replacement or a supplement, the way it's up to you how you think of it, of the SharePoint Help System the way it exists right now. So now the question is, what does this system do, the VisualSP Help System? I'm going to go back here to the site and show you where you can get more information once you're ready. So from the home page, you can go to VisualSP Help System right here, or you can go from here, Business VisualSP Help System for End Users. Either way, this will take you to this page. Starts out talking about what it is, a context-sensitive help system for SharePoint. We've been blessed enough to have quite a few people, our current customers and also MVPs and others, give great reviews, and they were, these are some of the reviews that we could publicly publish. There are others which we could not publicly publish. But anyway, we have about 500,000 users around the world actually who are using the current system. So that's great to understand, to know that how many people it's truly helping. And then there's a lot more information on the site over here. You can get screenshots right here. You can see the videos and all. But of course, what I want to show you and what you're here to see is the actual running of it, right? How does it work? What can I do with it? Can I customize it? Can I put my own stuff in there? I'm sure you have all these questions, and I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can. All right? So let's jump into it. Okay, first thing first. How does it implement itself? It implements itself as a help tab. Yeah, so it's an actual farm solution that gets deployed everywhere. You'd have just deploy it once, and it's an easy 10-minute deployment. And honestly, it's 10 minutes. It could have been less, a lot less, but it's 10 minutes only because we have a lot of content that we provide you. So all the content has to be uploaded, and it does it automatically, but it takes a little time to upload all the videos and everything else into your environment. But it's just one location where all the videos, the tip sheets, the reference documents, everything goes, and then everything becomes available to the users as they need it, directly through the Help tab. The Help tab is an object on a page that appears everywhere where a user goes, and it just follows them around, and it gives them the context-sensitive help that they would need when they need it, and not anything more. Some people ask, well, you have empty space over here. Why not fill this up with more content? Well, honestly, I speak as a trainer, and I'm sure many of other trainers would also agree that if you give too many choices, it's bad for the users. These are end users we're talking about. These are paralegals or doctors or just knowledge workers who just want to get their job done on this platform. So I come to this page, and I've been told that I'm a site owner. I'm like, what does that mean? First of all, right? Okay, well, I have this site, and I need to change this around. Well, what is this on the page? What is the documents stuff here? Understanding of what those things are could come from the Help tab. Okay, first, this, for example, SharePoint in plain English. This, by the way, is pointing to not our content. Only this one button here is pointing to a YouTube video that Microsoft produced, and it talks about SharePoint. Now, can you pull that down and put it in your SharePoint environment? Because it is a shared license that Microsoft has provided. Can you pull it down and put it directly in your environment and point to that? Absolutely. You can do whatever you want. Quick reference for the home site. Wiki page quick reference. Customizing navigation. Editing a web page. Editing a web page. That makes sense to me as a user. All right, let me click on this. Now you can't hear it, but this is a 2 minutes video, short one. We try to make it so it's not super long, because otherwise, once again, users get lost. So this is a 2-minute video showing them exactly what they need to know to how to edit a web page. Right? You come to this over here and you're like, let me make it full screen. That would make more sense. Here we go. Fully narrated by SharePoint experts and all the best practices you should use to do it. Now you can also pop it out, because we got this feedback quite a bit. We've been in business for quite a long time now. For this product, it's been almost 4 years, and we got this feedback again and again that, it would be good for users to see it while they're doing it. So that we can put this window side by side to this one and watch it, which makes perfect sense, I think. All right, so in addition to video content, I'm sure you would agree that people learn in all different ways. You don't have to force them to just watch a video. What if they want to just see a screenshot of, okay, what are all these components on a page? Not a problem. Team site homepage quick reference. Boom, there we go. So that's all these different things are on the page. Now, of course, many of you and I know exactly what it is. It's simple stuff to us, but coming to the first time, they don't know this is a Insight navigation links, and while the other one, this is where you can go ahead and change or check out a document or change things around. These are not very easy things for an end user to understand when they're starting out first time. And same thing, they can pop this out, they can go ahead and print this out and keep it on their desk for future reference. Everything helps them be successful with it. Yeah? All right, moving on forward, there's also, you can put whatever you want in here, by the way. So we currently put in video tutorials, reference documents, tip sheets, quick reference cards, and all these different things have been produced by us, hundreds and hundreds of artifacts that comes with the product, and everything gets stored directly within your environment. In this particular case, of course, we could do it where it's on our cloud as well, but by default, everything gets stored with you. You have control of everything. So changing all these things around, you can change the icon, the actual text, what it's related to, what it's linked to, the actual verbiage that shows up. Everything can be customized. But before we get into that, let me show you where else the Help tab manifests itself. Yeah. So we're in a regular site homepage, obviously. If I go into Documents Library, the same thing that I was looking at in the team site page, the home page, doesn't apply here anymore. Now we're talking about documents and checking in, checking out, setting the metadata and things like that, right? Help tab is still there, but now it has different content. In this case, document library quick reference. That makes sense for document libraries. Okay. What about, oh yeah, I want to email a link for this library to somebody else. Let me click on that, and that shows me exactly how that's done. As you note, by the way, when these videos come up, they go straight to the point. There's no fluff about, here's what we're going to do. No, here's how you do it. Okay, these are how-to videos of exactly how things are done using all best practices in the industry. Okay. If you notice that there are bigger icons, there are smaller icons, and the point behind this when our SharePoint experts were deciding how to do this thing is there are certain things which are more important or more relevant to a user, right? So that's where we decided to make big icons, and then smaller are just maybe, of course, still important. That's why it's the fourth thing here, for example, checking in a document, but it's a little bit smaller icon. I'm sure you would agree. Now, what about beyond lists and, beyond libraries, right? So what if I make a new list? Let me see. If I go to Site Contents, there's already a list here. No, what if I make a list? Is it going to appear there automatically? So add an app, and I make a new task list. Let's do that. Yeah, so a new task list gets created. Could be called whatever, of course. Does a Help tab come up directly there? Let's see. Aha, there it is. Help tab. And now it's talking about the task list. And now it's talking about things which are specific to lists and not libraries, like creating list items, editing things, sorting and filtering items in a list, exporting data. So stuff that's important to them at that point. Yeah? If you go even beyond this and say, what about people who are managing these lists and libraries? How do they get help? Because of course, when you're managing list or library or managing pages, you would need to modify certain things like creating views or deciding on what metadata to pull, what's required, and things like that, right? So for that, you can go easily to list settings, and in the list settings page, as well as the library settings page, we have a help tab there as well. Creating a column, creating a view, deleting a column, enable content types. So all the things that you would need at this point also as an administrator of a list or library is available here. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's I think personally that site owners and below are all quote-unquote end users. So for them, and actually even beyond that, but especially for them, these kind of things are needed for them to understand exactly how to do certain things, what's the best practice to follow, etc. So as I'm mentioning, if it's a site owner, chances are pretty high that they might also go to site settings page, right? And that page, I don't know how you felt the first time you saw this, but for me, it was a long, long time ago, but I still remember that feeling. It was like just so many links, so many different things. Like, what does all that mean? Yeah. Uh, so for this one, there's a help tab here too. Adding users to a site, removing users to a site from a site. These are a couple of things that happen that are on the top of your mind when you come to this page as a site admin, right? Or things like changing the site logo, working with columns, restoring items from recycle bin. How do I do that? All of this content we have provided. Everything is plug and play. It's all there. Obviously, everything and anything here that you see can be changed, including icons, the wording, the actual artifact behind it. Everything can be changed, but it's all there for you right from the start. All right. I'm sure you're asking or wondering again, well, how do I change all this stuff, right? What can I do to customize? Well, we're at the right place for me to show you that. See, currently we're at the hub of VisualSP, okay? So the hub in this particular case, let me actually make the screen a little bit bigger too. Sorry, I should have done this earlier. All right, so hopefully this is a little bit easier for you to see. I apologize for that. In the hub of VisualSP, which is this one right here, I can go and go to site settings in this case and go to manage VisualSP help items. Yeah. Once I'm in the manage VisualSP help items, here are all of my help items. Adding a library to the quick launch, add a list to the quick launch, adding users to a site, calendar and for docs. So as you can see, the icon is there, the wording is there, where in which group it's grouped in, that's there, the size of the icon that's there, the viewer is there, all the information is there. And I can see it by all groups view or by group view, which I like this by group view, because here I can see, all right, so here's what I'm seeing for calendar management, got it. Here's what I have for document library help, got it. And then also by scope view, which I think is also extremely helpful, because then I can see where each of these things are going to manifest itself, right? So in the context list, I'm going to get all these different things, and some of these are videos, some of these are quick reference docs, some of these are, other things. Custom list, discussion board, document library, events list, issue tracking list. We got it all. And then you say, all right, well, can I change something? Absolutely. Set up ratings. This is pretty cool, but you know what? We might want to call it something different, let's say. So set up ratings. Let me go into it. First thing to note here is that you have the ability to change the language if you wanted to also. So currently it's using 1033, which is American English language, but you can go ahead and easily change it so it's using a different locale. If, of course, you have the different language packs installed. We support French, Spanish right out of the box. We have translations for all these things that you see here. Everything will change to those languages if you want. Or you have other language packs, let's say other needs, you can go ahead and install them as well. And the resource files could be uploaded for that particular language and all will be good. Okay, so let's move down here. The group, existing group, if you're wondering what this is, let me actually get the help ribbon for here on. As you can note, by the way, the help ribbon within this screen is helping you with the product itself, right? Which makes sense, obviously. This is help for the help system in case you need it. So how do I edit my help items? How do I sort things out or change the help tab text, which by the way you could do this as well. It doesn't have to be called help. If you would rather have it called Contoso, which is your company name, no problem. AdventureWorks, no problem. Whatever you want to call it, you can change the text to that. Having said that, let's go through these things. Group, existing group, then this group right here, it relates to these things right here. Okay, so that's advanced customization, VisualSP web part, managing help items. These are groups within here. Title, that's I think extremely important for a person because they quickly are reviewing things on the help tab and they're going to look at the title, they're going to decide what they want to click on. And that's these titles right here. Description, obviously when you go over something, the description pops up right there. the link to exactly what it is. Yeah, if I go to the end of this right here, it shows me that's an MP4 file, in this particular case, a setup ratings, right? And that's in the site assets library, 1033 videos. In fact, if I want to see exactly where it is, I can always browse. So when I browse, just like any other SharePoint site, when you're browsing for things, you see this right here. Select an asset. Okay. So within site assets, within videos, within here, that's where my MP4 file is specifically. And this is how we have organized it. You can organize it differently if you wanted to. You can reorganize what we have put in there. The system is yours, basically. You could do whatever you want with it. And it's pretty helpful to me once I've put something in there to do a preview, right? To make sure it's going to work later when people actually click on it. Setup ratings. There we go. Great. That makes sense. Okay. This would be if I wanted this to pop up in a new window, or if it's going to be in the dialog box, I can click on this for a new window or just leave it alone for dialog box. The viewer media type, extremely important. All the different types we support, as I said before, video players, documents, images, YouTube video, if you want to point to a YouTube video, embed tags, web pages, we support all of it. Yeah? Icons. I think visual pictures are extremely important for people to decide what they're looking at and what makes sense. And we provide a lot of them out of the box, right there. Export to Excel. That's what it's going to be. Insert hyperlink. Okay. Issue tracking. You know what? Why not make some changes and see what happens? And I'll go ahead and redo it later. Okay. So setup ratings, custom. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll leave the video the way it is right now. This text over here, it's going to be video player. And I'm changing this to, okay, we'll do something else over here. List item. So it's going to be this icon. The icon size, this is of course if you pick the 16 by 16 icon, you would say small. If you pick a 32 by 32 icon, which is like these over here, then you pick the large icon with label. Or you can just show the icon by itself also if you wanted to. Now the sequence of how these items show up I think is very important, don't you think? I mean, right here I want this to be first, and then in here I want this to be first, not last, even though it begins with a U. It's understand the help ribbon. Now if I had not filled up the sequence for this particular help item, it would have been last, or let's see, yeah, or right before this one, I guess, if you look at it alphabetically. But anyway, so that's what you can decide the sequence for it as well. Now one of the most important parts here, where do you want it to appear? The different scopes. Yeah. So currently none of these are checked because we don't want this particular help item, which is setup ratings, to appear in a list like announcement or links or survey. We don't want it to appear in the library either. It doesn't make sense for it to appear in document library or wiki page or publishing page, etc. We don't want it to show up in a wiki page or publishing page. If I do, of course, I can just go ahead and click it and it's going to appear there. It does appear currently in the library settings page, which makes sense, obviously, right? And so there's all these different settings pages, and then other shows me everything where it could not fit currently. So there's all different places here where you can show it. Yeah. And in addition to all these scopes that we have provided, you can actually define your own scopes as well if you wanted to. So you can have custom scopes, which is arbitrary value, where if you decide on a certain value, say it's going to be, I don't know, let's say onboarding. It's an onboarding type of help item that I'm making, right? So you put that down, and over here, I'm sorry, that's it actually. So once you do that, then you can go ahead and actually pull this item up in a list or library or something, or a particular page, just by putting this custom scope down, saying, okay, I want all the onboarding help items to show up right here. And you can do that. You could do that within the ribbon. You could do that directly within a page as well, because as I just pointed out, that we also have a VisualSP web part which ships with the product. So if you don't want to show some things in the ribbon, you can actually show it directly within a page. And whatever is showing up on a page with the VisualSP web part, you can actually use that to override the help as well, the help tab. You can do, there's a lot of different things you can do. And All these features, honestly, I have our customers to thank for it, because over the years, feedback has been coming. Can I do this? Can I do that? And this would be really helpful. So we take the feedback. Yeah. For example, this one, URL defined scope. So a customer of ours told us, you know what? I have a custom list that I want to point to, or I think it was a custom list or a custom site or something, and I want only these help items to appear there. I don't want it to appear everywhere on all types of custom lists. Just this one where I have my, let's say, my resellers aggregated there, right? So then you can put a URL down. For example, as it shows over here, you can say, all right, well, whatever the URL like that shows up. See if this works. Yeah. So whatever this shows up, not the double quotes, go ahead and show this particular help item over there, right? So URL defined scope. You could definitely do this as well if you wanted to. I'm going to take this out because we don't want to restrict in this particular case. Last, but definitely not the least, permissions. You might not want this help item to be available for everybody, right? So over here you can go and say, all right, I want it to be available for specific types of roles. So people who can manage items, for example, or manage lists, or who can manage websites or browse directories. So these are all the rights from SharePoint. They're the exact same rights that SharePoint provides out of the box. And you can use these rights to restrict people who can see this help item. Yeah, makes sense, of course, right? Security trimmed and context sensitive. Why not? All right, let me click on save here. By the way, also something to point out here, you can also save as new, so then you don't have to start everything from scratch. You could, of course, make a new help item, but many times you have a help item that you want to make which is similar to another one. So you just go into the other one and you change things around and you click on save as new and you're golden. But in this case, I want to say just go ahead and let's do a save. I'm going to overwrite it. All right, here we go. So that particular one is going to manifest itself, of course, in the library settings, if I remember correctly, right? So I'll go to Documents, Document Library, Library Settings. If I remember correctly, it was, right here, Setup Ratings Dash Custom. And I like the other icon better actually, so I kind of messed it up right now. But anyway, this is the one that I just changed. This has got the new icon, the new everything. And it was pretty simple, pretty easy to do that, wasn't it? Just as I was mentioning before, you can make your new ones if you wanted to. I go back to Site Settings. I'll go over here to Manage VisualSP Help Items and click on Add Help Item. So you can add help item here. You can edit an item here when you have selected. All right, so if I select one, edit help item right there. Rename of the groups. So these are the different groups right here. If you want to rename any of these, you can do them by bulk. I think that's extremely helpful as well. So if I want to change blog help to something else, I can go ahead and change it here instead of changing it in every item. And then in addition to all that stuff, first of all, remember that what I'm doing here can affect everything in SharePoint, my whole farm. Okay, so this is a whole farm solution. When I change something here, it can affect every site collection, every site, everywhere. But you might not want to do that. You might want to control the help items at the site collection level, at the web application level, or at the farm level, right? Well, no problem. You can do that. You can do that. You only have to say into the actual site collection that, hey, I want to disinherit it. And the way that works, I'll quickly show you here, is Site Settings. You go into Manage VisualSP Help Provider Settings. Now I'm currently on the hub, so it doesn't give me that option. But if I was not at a hub, if I was at a different site, then it would give me an option right here saying, hey, disinherit this site and I want to have its own help items. And then you can copy the help items also from the hub if you wanted to and go from there. But a lot of good stuff like that you could do to go forward. Now you see over here it says Analytics Report. Let me actually quickly comment on that as well, and then I'll talk about some other things. I don't have the Analytics Report, I don't believe, configured here. Let me see. Because, yeah, it's not configured here because I do need to make a database to have that configured. But imagine people are clicking around and looking at all these different things, help items and stuff, and you have no idea what's going on. You probably want to know, right? Who is coming and what they are watching. And if it might be the same as you had predicted, or it might be completely different. You might need to change some stuff around. So I'm going to give you just a quick preview here, since I don't have it working here. So I'm going to go back to the site, our site, SharePointVideos.com or VisualSP.com. And aside from other things over here, I'll come back to the pricing. We'll talk about that too later. But I just want to show you this in the comparison screen, that this is what the analytics look like. Yeah, so nice pretty graphs. We use the Telerik product. Telerik, I'm sure many of you are aware, is a great analytics product. Many people and in SharePoint community, as well as many organizations and product vendors use it, and we use it as well. So it ships with the product. There's no other licensing required, by the way. This is what it gives. You have the ribbon item clicks, the source clicks, by browser clicks, by scope, and even below that, which is unfortunately not in the screenshot here, is exactly who clicked it, right? So who's doing and what they're doing, everything right there. And you can click around these different things and see the bar graph or pie chart or these kind of things. All right, so hopefully you find all this stuff interesting. Now, like I said, I will be talking about pricing right now. I'm going to talk about the app as well in a couple of minutes, but let me pause here and talk about this for a second. So as far as the pricing is concerned, we try to make it straightforward. It's a one-time acquisition cost, one-time pricing cost for the farm solution. It's $7,950 per production web server for the standard, and enterprise is $9,950. The enterprise version has analytics. The analytics that I showed you, that it has analytics. The standard version does not have analytics, but it has everything else. Analytics, of course, are extremely important, I think, for most companies, but if it's not important to you, then you go for standard. Then the express version is similar to the standard version, but the only thing over here is that you would have to control all the help items site collection by site collection by site collection basis. Okay, so if it's a small organization, as we said over here, if you got a couple site collections, 2, 3, 4 maybe, it's fine, but anything beyond that, it really doesn't make sense to have this thing, in my opinion at least. I mean, you might want to manage it everywhere, that's up to you. But then for mid to large organizations, these make sense a lot more. Yeah, and it's a one-time fee, as I said, to get this thing. And then after that, if you would like to continue getting product updates, getting content updates, and also getting so the product content updates, and also getting support online directly through us after the first year, then it's 20% of the price for maintenance going forward after the first year. So the first year, everything is covered. All the updates, everything is covered. The support is covered after that. The second year and beyond is 20% of the price. Okay. All right. What I want to do now is spend some additional time talking about the app that we have. So the solution that I've shown so far applies to on-prem, SharePoint 2010, SharePoint 2013. I also want to show you the app as well. So we'll go into that in just a second. So going up top, as we say over here, right by the award that we got a couple of years back, that this is supported SharePoint 2013, 2010, and also Office 365, which is SharePoint Online, right? And yes, we'll be supporting SharePoint 2016 also when it comes out. So how do we do it for Office 365? How do we do it for SharePoint Online? Let me show you this. This business VisualSP app. There's also a link to this one on this page that I'm looking at, but let me just use this particular link to go there. So similar looking page, but when you start going into the screenshots and videos and stuff, you'll see the differences. Okay, so there are definitely differences in the app and the farm solution, and I'll show you some of those differences. The idea remains the same. You want to help the users where they are, when they need it, with what they need, right? So context sensitive performance support for the users. You don't want to take them out of their comfort space. You want to help them right there where they are. So here is my Office 365 SharePoint Online environment, and I'm going to show you what we have here. In our environment for our app, we have a couple of different things. We had to do things a little bit differently just because of what SharePoint Online and Office 365 allows and it doesn't allow, right? So in here, we have inline help and we have additional training driven by the help tab. So the help tab is still there, but in addition to that, I'm sure you can see all these inline help icons, right? A user comes in and says, all right, what is all this stuff? Let me click on this. Working with the quick launch menu. Let's click on this. Okay, so there we go. Here it starts up automatically. It shows me, once again, it's all fully narrated of exactly what it means to be working with a quick launch. Now, in this particular case, even though the functionality is the same and all that stuff, the content resides on our cloud. So the content that you're looking at and also the app that's driving this functionality is in our Azure environment. Yeah? Hopefully that makes sense. Let me click off. One of the main things here is sharing a site. How do I share different things? So you click on this. Okay, understanding permissions, adding users to a site. Let me click on that. So this in particular is a YouTube video that they got to, right? Okay, so that's showing me exactly how to do that. Perfect. What about this? Searching. Using site search. Okay, and that this is a video produced by us. So it's actually a mix of the content produced by us, the content available on Microsoft's site, this official content, and other content which is expertly curated content on the web, right? And we support and we manage the pointers to all this content that you're looking at. So we have a central management system where we use to manage all of it and change things around as needed for any interface changes, etc. Now, of course, you'll see that there are links, there's informational icons also in places where a user might not have access to. So edit links will not show up for a reader, obviously, so they won't see this. But I see it because I have access, full control to this site. Customize the navigation on your team site. Yeah, I want to see that. So I click on it, and this will show me the information for that. Now, in this particular case, this is an actual article. Yeah, so I'm an administrator and it makes sense to me. I can go ahead and read this article. I'm motivated enough to do these things, and I can do it. Now, let's go to a document library. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of icons here as well. So in document library, here's what I see. These ellipses always throw me off as a user, let's say, right? So I want to see what this is all about. I click on this. Sorry, this is for somebody else we made. That's why it says Jenny here. Disregard this. Jenny might be online right now too. I don't know. Hi, Jenny, if you are. So this was made custom just to show something. But delete, restore, rename files, check-in and check-out files. Check-in and check-out files. Let me click on that. Okay. Great. So I have information on that. Great. Now, let me actually also mention that when you make these kind of changes, because you can customize everything, by the way, this was made only on this tenant. Okay, so only on this tenant. If you get this app today, you would not see this because this was only made on this tenant. We actually make changes globally, plus you can make your own changes locally, which of course makes sense. Even icons on the tabs, all the different things you can do. Great. Now if I go beyond that, so library settings, as you would assume, there's icons there as well, specific to different things that you could do. Rating settings, add a ratings column. Okay, great. Edit links. If I go beyond that, so now I go to site settings. Same thing here as well, and we'll be building more for this as time goes by, but that's what we have right now. Save site as template, change the look, etc. If I go beyond that even, so if I go to site contents, let me click on this right here. There are a lot of stuff going on here, but anyway, creating different kind of lists and libraries, right? As I said, we're going to be putting a lot more content here as we get more and more feedback from people, but that's what we have right now. All the things you can do. Recycle bin, this makes sense for me to understand how to empty the recycle bin, how to restore items, right? All those different things. Okay, so obviously the question here from you would be, how do I customize all this stuff? What if I don't want to see something? What if I want to see something extra here? Well, now it's being driven from the app model, all these things, right? So the app model says that I have to actually go to the app, which is this one right here that has been installed. I go to this app, and here we go. It says loading VisualSP. So now here are all my items. Here's all different places they appear at. I can click on Manage Help Items, and here's how I can manage it. Yeah. Once again, these things I'm managing only for my tenant. So this is not that same portal that I was talking about. This is only managing it for this particular tenant. Let me show you actually one more thing before I manage something here. I'm going to open this up in a different tab. Something I failed to show, that if I'm in a library or list or something like that, you see the Help tab appears here too, right? Now it looks a little bit different. In this case, it's Office 365 or SharePoint Online does not allow for dynamically changing widgets and all over here. So we have one button. But once you click on this one button, you get much deeper training into, in this case, document library. Setting up a library. Here we go. Introduction to library. So this is the quick reference card we produce. Here's the introduction to libraries, quick reference card. Here's create columns, all different things. This is produced by Microsoft actually. So all expertly curated stuff. I go into a different place like announcements, help, and view help content, and now I should see announcements, specific things. Here it is, right? So this is going much deeper now. If you don't get enough help here contextually, then this is more of a sectional based help, right? And then you go deeper into help tab and get more help there, or more training I should say, actually further. Okay, going back to manage help items. Now, remember Jenny? Here we go. See, this was added. Okay, so if I took this out, X, are you sure you want to delete this help item? Yes, I am. Delete. This would be gone. Now if I were to go back, there is some caching that we put in there, but I think right now it should be good enough. Let's see, where was this? Documents. Here. Yeah, sorry Jenny, but your item is gone right now because I took it out. If I wanted to add new items, right? So go back to manage help items and say, all right, I want to add a new item. New. Here's all different fields for it. You got the title field. Put something in there. Maybe test for now. You got the icon. Let's use this icon for now. Of course, by the way, in icons for this and for the farm solution, you can choose whatever icon you want. You can put your own icon in if you want, no problem. And then the icon size, make it small. Description, test, item, link, of course, whatever you want the link to be. In my case, I could put whatever you want in here. Let's see, maybe yahoo.com. All right, group. So this is, of course, the grouping of the help item. We'll just call this custom for right now. Media type, same as in our farm solution. We choose over here, it's going to be a web page obviously, so we'll choose this one. And then the fun part right here, scopes, right? Now these things are scope for the help tab. I'll say it one more time. These things are scope for the help tab. This inline help target here is the inline help, the sectional based help. So for the scope, let's say I'll throw in an announcement list. So all different types of lists and libraries and pages and everything here. Yeah, you can also make it custom scope too, by the way. And there was a web part in our home page actually that I just passed through. I'm going to go ahead and show you that one more time, how the web part looks if you use a custom scope. And then there's inline help target. So the inline help target, Things like I want it to be on the list settings page and general settings section. I want it to be in the column settings page and list settings section. So click, click. You can choose multiple. You can choose as many as you want. You can choose whatever you want, right? Let's see, and we have some test stuff too that we created over here in this particular tenant. That's why you got some test stuff that's appearing here. Site contents, add an app. Sure. So it's in site contents, it's going to be in list settings, it's going to be in list settings. Okay, so there's a bunch of places in list settings. Anyway, so here's all the different places going to appear now. Great. I can also say custom inline help target. Now this gets a little bit more technical in nature, of course. Maybe you're setting it up for somebody, it makes sense. For power users, maybe. Mostly for administrators, this makes sense because now you have to use some jQuery selectors. It's not that difficult, by the way. It's things like, here, let me hover over something here. You see over here what pops up, ahref, and well, this is actually a regular HTML one. There we go. This is a little bit more deeper, so this is going more of a ID of a specific object. You can choose a selector, an ID or a CSS or something like that to point to a specific object, and that's what this is saying. And you can, there's a reference for that right here if I clicked on it, which I won't do right now, but you can do that. Now, in addition, you can click on the URL filter and say, all right, well, I want this particular help item to only appear in a specific place, just like the farm solution. I want to appear in the project settings.aspx page, for example, and you just put that in there. The partial URL or the absolute URL. Either way, that's fine. So you can scope using URL as well. All right, inline help targets, scopes, awesome, and permissions. Let's click on permissions. Same thing as the farm solution. You have all these different permissions you can work with. By default, it's appearing for everybody, but you can take it out for certain types of people, types of roles if you wanted to. Okay, let's say I am done. Let me click on save. Here it is. It shows up right at the top first, and if I came back to this page or if I refresh this one right now, it will go alphabetical order, so it's going to go down now. Yeah, so it's right here somewhere. Test, come on, where are you? Here we go. Oh, no, it's not here. Here we go, test. All right, RST, okay. All right, so that's the test. I'm going to go to document library, go to site settings and see if that comes up here. Hopefully it does. Let's see, refresh here again. I believe it was here somewhere that I said for it to appear. And I'm actually drawing a blank exactly where it's supposed to appear here. But I know it was here somewhere. Let's see, edit, go back into this thing. So it's appearing, it should be appearing in announcement list, and it should be appearing in the, list settings. I'm sorry, list settings. Let's go to a list, announcement list, and go to list tab here, and then list settings here. So within list settings, in this particular one I said, okay, show it in general settings. Here we go. Here's my test, and I click on test. Let's see what this particular thing does. Oh, you know what? I think yahoo.com and google.com, they prevent an iframe showing. Yeah, because we use iframes, we recently also discovered from another customer of ours as well that google.com, for example, doesn't work in the iframes, yahoo.com doesn't work, things like that. So I apologize. But most pages, of course, do. Some of these big ones, they kind of prevent the iframe showing that, so that's why it's showing blank here. If I were to put in a different page, it would appear just fine in there. Okay, so that's what this was. That's how it works. If I wanted to delete this test item, delete, simple enough, right? Now the question should be, what about if I want to delete one of the ones that are there? Will I lose this thing? Can I get it back later if I wanted to? You can absolutely get it back. So for example, adding a column, it doesn't make sense for me to show my users right now. Let me delete it. But as it shows over here, it actually will be hidden and not deleted, meaning it will be hidden from everybody, but you can come back later and restore it if you wanted to. So you can, yeah, like I must say delete, and add a column has been deleted, but I can click on the plus button at any point in time and restore it. And it's going to show up again. Yeah. At any point in time, if you want to check any of these things, you can go to View Help Items and check all the items here, because all of them appear here, and when you hover over them, the information for them appear in the yellow box at the bottom as well. You can also always get help for all these things in About VisualSP. We put all the information here as well of how to manage the app, and of course we're always here also to help you when you have the app, of how you can manage it, extend it, and provide help to your users, etc. This is a nice graphical list of all different things that you can do with the app. And there's also the managed license. Currently I have the standard license here. There's also a light license, by the way. The light license is completely free. It has a lot less help items, and it doesn't let you manage the settings and manage the help items, but it does give you plenty of help items for free. So there's a light version if you want to try it out. In fact, if you get the app from us, from our page right here, once you get the app from this page right here, it will come as a 30-day full standard license. After the 30 days, it will automatically revert to the light license. Yeah, so you can check it out and see if that makes sense within those 30 days. There's also managed settings here where you can change the inline help settings, change the global inheritance of the help items and stuff like that. And also you can replace the icon. I forgot to talk about this. You can replace the icon to whatever icon you want. You can say, you know what, maybe I don't want the blue and white informational icon, I want a different icon. You can go ahead and put in an HTTP address to a different icon, maybe it's in your library somewhere, and it will start pulling that after that. Another thing I said I was going to show you and I forgot is the VisualSP web part. Let's talk about that for a second. This is the VisualSP web part that appears here. Similar, something like this appears in the Farm Solution 2. And sometimes you just want to show help items or training items directly within a page and not as an informational icon or not as a help tab. So you could do that right here. Yeah? And when somebody clicks on it, they should see information about it right there, just like that. And they can take this and pop it out if they wanted to. And now you have a training portal, if you look at it this way, right? That they can train themselves on all different things. And we have lots and lots of content and all different things. If you're using Nintex, we actually have a bunch of stuff on Nintex as well that we've put over here. All the information coming from their website. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful to you. Thank you very much for your time. Information is available on here on the site. All the pricing is also available on the site. The trials are also available on the site. Everything is available here. Michael and I are always here as well. Our team is also here to answer any questions. Let us know. info@visualsp.com, or Michael's is also Mike, M-I-K-E, @visualsp.com. Mine is Asif @visualsp.com. Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate your time. Hope to see you soon sometime. Take care.